Sarge, I've been meaning to tell you something. Go on. With all due respect, I'd imagine as ground soldiers we'd be equipped with actual blasters, okay? So why are we equipped with swords? Because they were cheap, I guess. What's going on, everybody? Republic Cinema here. Well, more like Republic Cinema's back after a while ago. It's been a while, but in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the new Decepticon Devastation 2-pack from Target. First of all, I'd like to ask how you guys been doing this past month. Second of all, I have no idea what happens in Transformers Devastation aside from a Optimus versus Devastator 1v1, I guess. But I did want to pick up this multi-pack because, first of all, it's cool. Second of all, it's a Decepticon multi-pack. Another reason is that it's new. And then the last reason is that it is part of the Studio Series. And if you know me, I like to collect the Studio Series rather than the other toy lines. Because personally, I've always been collecting Studio Series. And to start collecting the other sublines, financially, I'd be gone. I'll just stick to Studio Series, thank you. So anyways, I believe this is the third Target exclusive 2-pack in a row where we've gotten two G1-ish figures. Obviously, the other two were part of the 86 line, and this one was Devastation, but still. Now, personally, I would have preferred a multi-pack of, Revenge of the Fallen themed Studio Series, Bayverse, Ironhide, and Ratchet just with sand weathering, but that's just me. Before we take a closer look at these figures, let's take a quick look at the packaging, which, as you can see, the box size and box art style is completely different from the previous 2-pack box arts because they changed up the whole boxes for Studio Series a wave or two ago. At least they brought this back. Anyways, here's the nice artwork of the Conehead Seeker and the Ground Soldier. On the top is some names, words, and logos. On the left side is the Seeker. On the right side is an artwork of the Ground Soldier. You turn to the back and you get a little more info of what you get inside. And if you notice on the top left of the back of the packaging is the actual characters in the game. But anyways, enough of the packaging. Let's move on to the figures. Starting off with the Ground Soldier, which is actually a repaint of the Decepticon Runabout, which that figure came out in 2020. So obviously the painting and sculpting on this figure is going to look a little wonky because this is a 5-year-old mold. Can't believe it's 5 years old. As you can see, there's quite a lot of kibble on this figure, especially over here. Oh my goodness, look at that. Hollowness. Ugh. If you remember, some of those figures back then had those weird knees where you tried bending them and they would come apart. I feel that some Transformers figures still have that now. I could be wrong. Forgot to mention the head sculpt is completely different from Runabout and the Runamuck repaint. For accessories, he only comes with the sword, which at first glance, or at least for me, I thought it was the sword that came with the Studio Series Leader Class Springer, but I was wrong because the hilt is different. Here's the Ground Soldier with the sword. Personally, I would have much preferred him to come with a gun. Since this figure has slots on the side of the arms, you can make this figure feel like he's the Bayverse Optimus. You could also plug the sword on top of the shoulder. How about you don't do that? Oh yeah, and of course there is weapon storage. Now moving on to articulation. Ball joint at the head, shoulder moves out, full rotation at the arm, bicep swivel, bend at the elbow, the wrist can move up and down, waist swivel, the legs can spread, the leg can move forward and backwards, thigh swivel, bend at the knee, the foot can move up and down, and can rock from side to side. We're just going to keep the size comparison brief and just compare them alongside the Devastation Deluxe Class Studio Series Prime, because I couldn't necessarily find any other figures that specifically relate to this figure, if that makes sense. Anyways, I believe it's time we move on to the transformation, which is pretty straightforward. To start off, bring the arms out so we could work with the legs. Rotate this 180, collapse the two legs together, shift the legs inwards like so, make sure everything tabs in nicely, and then you could go ahead and collapse all of this in. Make sure everything tabs in nicely again. Untab the head, bring this down, bring the head inside, and then close all of that back in. Next, we're going to work on the arms. Bring the arms forward like so. Rotate them upwards until the slot is facing up. Same thing with the other side, of course. And then go ahead and collapse both of the hands inwards. Bring them up. Untab this, and then bring this whole assembly outwards. My mistake. You were supposed to rotate these arms and collapse them inwards. Once you've done the same for the other arm, you're going to go ahead and untab that out, bring open the wheels, and then basically collapse this whole assembly onto the rest of the transformed car. And hopefully your copy, unlike mine, stays together. For some reason, this doesn't want to stay tabbed in. Anyways, here we have the Decepticon ground soldier in his alt mode. And I'm not gonna lie, the alt mode kind of looks a little lame. The cell shaded part, I feel, doesn't really look that cell shaded, to be honest. Well, okay, fine. There's only so much you could paint in a repaint. But still, for weapon storage, the sword simply plugs in onto the top of the car. Overall, that's all I had to say for the Decepticon ground soldier. Now, time to move on to the other Decepticon that I think is just a little cooler. Obviously, the Conehead Seeker, which is a repaint of a recently retired mold. I believe it's retired. After all, we did recently get news of the upcoming Studio Series 86 Thundercracker, which has a brand new Seeker mold, and it looks amazing. If there's any other Seekers from Devastation that have different paint apps that I personally don't know about, I think they should take that new mold and base the repaints off of it. Because after 5 years, this mold, to me, has finally reached its end. To be honest, I never really disliked this mold as much as other people did. But at the same time, I'm still glad they're going with a brand new mold for the Seekers. And personally, I can't wait to see what the Coneheads will look like. Speaking of Conehead, this is my very first time picking up a Conehead Seeker mold, which I believe is the latest and very last version of the old Seeker mold. I could be wrong on that. Anyways, how is this final version, dare I say? Overall, the painting and sculpting is pretty good. I like the dark tone with this figure. Except, of course, as you can see, that the thighs are red for some reason. Also, here's the cell-shaded painted part, which I've already pointed out. The cell-shaded bits on these figures aren't all that great, to be honest. Or at least that's what I think. Of course, this 5-year-old mold does come with quite a lot of kibble, especially for the back over here and the legs. Also, I've noticed that some people have the wings spread out like this, and it kind of looks weird to me. I personally like them folded. I feel that some might consider me crazy for doing that, but at the same time, I don't care. I like this more because it takes less space. In terms of quality, the figure is alright. Nothing's too tight or too loose, except the knees like to do the classic thing where they do that, and it's really annoying. For accessories, this figure comes with more accessories than the other guy, but he does come with both of his null rays that you could simply plug onto the shoulders. And of course, the figure does look really nice equipped with the null rays. You could also have him hold the null rays with his hands. Oh yeah, the null rays are blast effect compatible, by the way. Now, for some reason, this figure also comes with a pair of swords that look an awful lot like Beast Wars Optimus Primal swords. Well, anyways, here he is equipped with the swords. Moving on to articulation. Ball joint at the head, shoulder moves out, full rotation at the arm, bicep swivel, bend at the elbow, the wrist can move up and down. Unfortunately, there's no waist swivel for this figure. The front skirt can move out, but unfortunately this butt flap over here cannot. The leg can move forward, but since the butt flap doesn't move back, neither can the leg. Legs can spread, thigh swivel, bend at the knee. The foot is on a pivot joint. Dare I say a tight pivot joint. I don't know if I should count this as part of the articulation, but the front of the foot and the back of the foot move up and down. And that's the gist of the articulation. Now moving on to a brief size comparison. I'm just going to keep it down to 3 figures. That being, of course, the Ground Soldier, Devastation Prime, and lastly, Starscream. But one more thing. Here he is next to the rest of the official Studio Series Devastation figures, which as you can see is not a lot, but we are getting 2 more Devastation figures this year, I believe. But yeah, can't wait for Sideswipe and Wheeljack, which are just going to be cel-shaded-ish repaints of older figures. Kind of like these two. Which is fine by me, because personally I've never had those molds, so I look forward to getting them finally. But anyways, be sure to leave a comment down below which Devastation figure out of the current 3 Studio Series Devastation figures do you like the most. And now let's turn this guy into a jet. You can go ahead and bring this cone part up and completely cover this guy's head with that. Straighten both arms and then bring them up forward to that point right there. Open up this black piece, and then what you're gonna do, which in my opinion is a little annoying, you're gonna make sure that this gray part goes in between this slot right here. I'm sorry if you can't necessarily see it. It's covered by the hand that you have to move up just a bit, and then make sure all of that is fed into each other like so, and then collapse all of this in. You repeat the same steps for the other arm. After that, you're gonna bring this whole assembly back, bring the nose cone of the plane up, rotate it just a bit, and then bring it out until it collapses right there. Bring the arms down and then close them inwards. And then make sure that these two seemingly small tabs connect onto these two slots, like so. After that, collapse these side fins, or I believe that's what they're called. Collapse these two legs together, bring the two fins out, close in the feet, bring both panels out, and then collapse all of this in. Make sure that these two slots peg onto those two tabs like so. After that, you can go ahead and collapse these two panels just like that. And here we have the Conehead Seeker completely transformed in his jet mode, which as you can see appears to be a modified version of the jet mode that Starscream turns into, because as you can see the wings are different. Why does this look cooler? For weapon storage, the null rays tab onto these two slots over here, and then for the swords, they store over here. For a brief vehicle mode comparison, here he is alongside Starscream's jet mode, so you can see the differences. For me personally, I think both of the vehicle modes look really great in their own way, but be sure to leave a comment down below which jet mode you like a little more. Anyways, I believe that's all I had to say for the Transformers Studio Series Devastation More Than Meets the Eye Decepticon 2-pack. Overall, it's not a bad 2-pack. You get a pretty good figure with an okay deluxe. If you do plan on getting this multi-pack, I recommend you get it for this guy, to be honest. This is a pretty good way to army build these figures, as all you have to do is just get 3 or 4 of these, and there you go. You got yourself your little army. An expensive army at that. Did I mention that this multi-pack goes for $59.99? Trust me, it's worth on the Target website, because you'll end up paying, I think, $10 more for shipping and taxes. So far, I have not been able to spot this multi-pack at stores yet, but I have spotted the other Studio Series Target exclusive, that being Preceptor. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you have spotted this multi-pack somewhere at a Target store, because I'd like to know. Anyways, what do you guys think of this multi-pack? Do you like it? Are you going to pick it up? Do you not like it? Are you not going to pick it up? And with that being said, if you like what you saw in this video, be sure to slam that like button, share this with your friends as well, turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss another upload, let me know how I did in this review video, and most importantly, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. Also, on a side note, thank you for 14,000 subscribers. I cannot thank you guys enough. That's a big milestone. And yeah, that's it. Teo!